Hey fellas, welcome back to the third episode of Metronome Wars. Now, I made a new set of guys right here, so I hope you like them. Okay, so I send in UFO, my Magnazone, and Hardhead, my Rampardos. And just like before, they all know Metronome and they all have life orbs. Now this battle is actually pretty long, it's about 20 minutes long, but it's pretty funny, so watch it. So a lot of users uses constrict, but I don't understand how he could constrict somebody because it doesn't have very long arms. I don't know, maybe with his mind or something, because he's a psychic type. So the Flygon uses Steel Wing, which is not weird at all, and yes, I named my Flygon Why You Hatin'. You know, because of the Salamence fans out there. Now, I am a Salamence fan, but I'm also a Flygon fan. And then Hardhead uses Pin Missile. I don't know, maybe he shoots the spikes out on his head. I don't know, but then he looked pretty weird though. I don't know, it's too confusing to understand of how Rampardos would look without the spikes on his head. So the Magnazone uses Metronome, and it uses Weather Ball, and gets a critical hit on the Flygon. Does a lot of damage, but does not knock it out. Just barely hangs on. So yeah, Metronome Wars are a lot of fun, so I actually kind of recommend doing a Metronome War if you had the action replay. Either that or you could just do a Metronome War with like Togepi and Togekiss or whatever, I don't know. So Latios uses Wood Hammer and completely destroys Rampardos, because Rampardos is meant for attacking. It is not meant to stand up to attacks unless it's resistant to it. So Rampardos gets owned. Falls onto the ground. So Why You Hatin' uses Metronome, and he gets Bullet Seed. Maybe he ate a watermelon before the battle, and I guess he never spat out the seeds until now. So, I don't know. But then Flygon gets knocked out because of the Life Orb recoil. So that's good. For me, anyways. Then Magnazone uses Metronome, and he gets Crush Grip, which is a not very good move for it to use because Magnazone is a special attacker. It does get a critical hit though, but almost knocks out Latios, but it doesn't. So I send in Bolt, my Electivire. Electivire is sent out. And she sends in Red Thunder, their Scizor. I wanted to name my Scizor Red Lightning for obvious reasons, but it doesn't fit, so I just call it a Red Thunder instead. So Latios uses Toxic Spikes, which is actually kind of pointless in this battle because most of my Pokemon are Flying types, and Flying types are not affected by Toxic Spikes. So then Bolt uses Sweet Scent, and it comes from like the tip of his tail or something, and it lowers Latios's and Scizor's evasiveness. They're like, that smells so horrible, and now I'm going to murder you. I don't know. They murdered the person who expelled that foul scent, or that was not very sweet at all. It should be called Foul Scent in the next generation. The Magnazone uses Whirlwind and forces Latios to switch. I forgot who he switched into this turn. Let's see. She sends in Glasscore, which I've nicknamed Squirgoyle. And Sandstorm is raging.
Well, both corners still have a chance to win this. Who's going to take
and Metronome, you know the drill. So Bolt uses Metronome, and it gets Bulk Up, which is pretty handy. Because Electivire is a physical attacker. Then Glasscore uses Metronome, and what does he get? He gets Ice Shard, and hits Magnazone and it doesn't do anything. So yeah, then Scizor uses Metronome, and he gets Harden, which is not very appetizing, especially because the Scizor is male. And UFO uses Metronome, and it gets Night Slash. And it does like nothing to Gliscor, because Gliscor is really bulky, believe it or not. Its defense is its highest stat, believe it or not. I know. I didn't believe it at first, but once I saw it, I believed it. So believe it, people. So Metronome, or whatever, Metronome, whatever. And he uses Sucker Punch, but Sucker Punch, I think, always fails in a Metronome battle. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. So then, when Squirgoyle uses Sleep Powder and puts Electivire to sleep. So, he's sleeping in the middle of a sandstorm. I don't understand how can someone sleep in the middle of a sandstorm like that. But, I don't know, Pokemon logic. And Metronome. And it gets Block. So, Gliscor cannot be switched out, which is, I guess it's okay. Like if I get an Ice type attack or something. I don't know. Yeah, Sandstorm is raging. All the Pokemon are affected by it. All the Pokemon are unaffected by it except for Electrode. Electrode is asleep. So, Gliscor uses Metronome and it gets Zen Headbutt. And does absolutely nothing to Magnezone.
But this is not a favorable matchup.
So then Red Thunder uses Metronome. And it tries to use Sure Cold, but it misses, which would have been devastating. Because it's a one-hit KO move. And then Magnezone uses Fling and throws its Life Orb at Gliscor. He's like, hey, you want 2 Life Orbs and take double the recoil? Here you go. But that does not happen, but, you know. Sandstorm is still raging.
Neither corner has made a decisive attack yet.
Metronome, 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 Metronome. Try saying that 10 times fast, excuse me. So Gliscor uses Metronome, and it uses Lick. Basically just slobbers all over Electivire, which is kind of gross. Then Scizor uses Metronome. I almost said Metronome uses Scizor. So he uses Body Slam. Basically just tackles Electivire, and it does quite a bit of damage to Electivire. It probably would have knocked it out if it didn't get that bulk up boost. Then Magnezone uses Reflect, which raises their defense for 5 turns, which is pretty good, because Magnezone has really high physical defense, and the Sandstorm is subsided, which is good. And Electivire is still sleeping somehow. Like seriously, how would you still be asleep when somebody just body slammed you? How could you still be sleeping? I ask you that. Then Scizor also uses Reflect, so yeah, Magnezone uses Reflect, and then Scizor uses Reflect on the next turn. Look at that luck. Then Magnezone uses Dark Void, which is awesome, and puts both of my opponent's Pokemon to sleep. I don't understand how Gliscor can sleep while it's flying. That's just weird, how it's sleeping in midair. I wish I could sleep in midair. So none of the Pokemon can move except for Magnezone, because he's the only one not sleeping. Then Magnezone uses Soft Boiled and heals back some of his HP. Light Screen wears off. And yeah, this battle's kind of long, but still pretty funny. The Electivire finally wakes up, and it uses Fury Attack. It like punches Gliscor, and these little dots appear on it, and it takes damage. I don't understand how that's supposed to hurt, but hey, it's Pokemon. Anything can happen in the world of Pokemon. So then Scizor wakes up on the turn after it's put to sleep, which does not make any sense. And then Scizor uses Slam, but it misses. Then he uses Metronome, and He uses milk drink. It is not a cow. It is like a UFO magnet thing. So I don't understand how it could milk itself. That's just stupid. So then he uses magic coat. I forgot what magic coat does, but whatever. So then Red Thunder uses Metronome, and he uses water spout, and it knocks out Electivire and does a little bit more than half damage to Magnezone. And the thing just came out like from the top of his head, so yeah. Magnezone's all out of moves, so the only move he can use is Struggle. It does like nothing to Gliscor and takes like a crap ton of recoil damage.